I thank you that you were there through all of the steps of this weekend. Lord, I just ask that you be with those who are suffering, Lord, and those who have prayer requests but kept them to themselves. Lord, just be with us as a church and lift us up that we can affect this community. Lord, just be with Pastor Keith, that his words can teach us something new. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chuck. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that a little bit better? Yeah? Good. But there is no energy tonight, is there? Come on, people. Step it up a notch here. Right? Let's go.
We're all tired from last night.
You're all tired from last night. Yeah, that's true. But too bad we're here anyhow. Do we need to stand up and say hi to people? Huh? Let's do that. All right, stand up. Go say hi to somebody. Give them a high five. Take them if you need to. Get up and go around here. So some of my aha moments. Back in 1994, I sat in a class where they talked about this thing called the internet. And I remember coming home from that class, and I opened the door, and my eyes were wide open. Jennifer was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I was like, you just can't wait to see what this internet thing is about." It was so cool, but that was kind of like a sudden realization of, wow, this is really, really cool. Or just something like I work on computers a lot and programs, so when you get that thing that just bugs the crap out of you, you can't fix it, and then you go home and you rest, and then you come the next day and you're like, aha, I've got it, aha, and it's just so refreshing to get past that problem and on to the next problem, right? I'm sorry if I said crap in here, I didn't mean to. Oh, I said it again. But the biggest aha moment was understanding and knowing that Jesus loves me. That was the biggest one. To sit there and hear somebody explain it in such a way that made in my mind go, Jesus loves me. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how I've acted in the past, if there's anything I can, Jesus already loves me. One of the great aha moments. And of course, all that stuff about, kids and wife and blah, blah, blah. Right? Just don't tell Jennifer I said any of that. Hey, would you talk at your table? Have you had an aha moment? And what was it? All right, I'll give you a minute for that. How about that? An aha moment. What was it? I want to hear a couple examples when you're done with that. All right, looks like we're a minute into it there. So, somebody shout out some aha moments. What was it surrounded by? What was it? You is you.
Cutting things out of my diet.
Okay.
I didn't realize how much I feel better.
Cutting things out of her diet, realized to help her see how much better she feels. Aha. Okay.
Like things like fluoride, the metal or bottom up. I realized I didn't explore it. I know I've been going faster, but I'm like, oh, like you're putting the pedal to the floor, you're flooring it. And it's just one of those like, I get it.
And now you know, right?
Yeah.
Aha. So we have their hand up here, the front table. Yeah.
Yesterday, and on the way out, we were sitting on one side, and we figured out, well, things were around, so we could see the other one like that. After we got out there, we realized it didn't turn around. It has two engines, so we have to turn back. So we said we have to sit on the opposite side. So we got in, we turned right, just like when we got on the first time, we turned right, because we were sitting in a bigger car. The other three are telling me we are on the opposite side, and I did not get it until, which nobody mentioned, we got on the train when we started on one side. When we got back on the train the second time, we got on the other side. So then it made sense to me.
But you were holding to your guns, weren't you? No, we're not on the right side. And then, oh, that's good. How about over here? Anybody? Anybody? What was your aha moment, Don?
I hardly ever have one. I used to have one.
He said his aha moment. He said his aha moment was he just realized you spell aha the same word and backwards. Right? All right, so 3 ingredients to our aha moment that we're going to talk about. And even just to talk about them, we've already mentioned them. A sudden awakening, brutal honesty, and immediate action kind of help create that aha moment. So when we look at the product of the Son, all these elements are built into it. So you're going to see a little pencil up here. So in your notebooks, you're going to jot down when that little pencil comes up, or some note points that you might be taking. So we're going to come back to those pieces in just a little bit. So like you mentioned, we're going to look at the prodigal son. And that's on Luke 15, 11 through 32. If you know it, great. If you don't know it, pull it out on your phone or tablet or whatever and read it. But over the next 6 weeks, this is just what we're going to focus on. So we're going to take it kind of slow as we move through these pieces, but I think you're really going to enjoy this as we search for our aha moment. So every story has a beginning, even in the Bible, in the beginning, right? Very first words. So the story in the beginning, we have to pay attention to what happens in the beginning to understand how the story goes to the end, and the elements that change in the middle. So let me throw a couple famous beginnings at you. Would you tell me what the story is? Are you ready? Yes? Okay, here's the first one. Long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Star Wars!
Thank you for waiting.
Star Wars! You didn't say we had to wait.
We're not playing Jeopardy here, okay? Jeez.
My buzzer did not work.
The next one. The Marleys were dead to begin with. Mr. Know-it-all.
This is a late movie up here.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Or
Christmas Carol. All right, last one, number 3. Here's the next beginning, right? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Tale of Two Cities, there we go. All right, so those were the beginning of those stories here, you see. The beginning of a story often says a lot about the end of that exact same story. So it's kind of like, I don't know, did you ever sit in a movie and you didn't pay attention at the very beginning and you were lost to the entire thing, or almost a lot of it? Yeah, even when maybe the credits are rolling at the beginning and they show something very important to the story that help us understand what's going on in the story. Same thing here. So we're just going to look at the first 2 verses here of the prodigal son. So here's what he said. Luke 15, just 11 and 12 is what we're looking at today. Said there, Jesus continued, there is a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. So a couple things we pull out right away is we see there's 2 sons involved. The younger one is the one that went to his father and said, "Give me my share of the estate." So we kind of identified that right away. So that's why I underlined this couple things here. But you know, this story begins at home, right? It's a good place to be. The father and his 2 sons were at home, and it was a nice home. If you read a little bit more in the story, it talks about servants, it talks about animals, and in that time, that meant he was from a wealthy home. Probably well taken care of, probably well provided for. It was a good place to be. But there's something in that younger son that wants to leave home. So there's something in him. Even though home is a great place, it just wasn't for the younger son. Something caused that younger son to say, "Hey, give me everything I'm owed, and I want to get out of here." As a matter of fact, he went up to him and what did he ask for? His share of the estate, right? So that would essentially be his inheritance. How do you get an inheritance? What has to happen to somebody in that party for the inheritance to be? Somebody has to die, right? So, essentially, he told his father, "Dad, I wish you were dead." Right? "Dad, I wish you were dead. I want my inheritance. The only way you get that inheritance is for you to die." So, in that culture, that time, it would have been legal for the dad to actually beat this kid, probably almost to death, if not to death, and not have any issues with that. Because it was such a rude thing to say. There was no respect in that statement. There was no love, there was no trust for him to go up to his father and say, "I want my share of the estate. Dad, I wish you were dead." And even though he thought about that, what started with that just a little selfish ambition to make his own way without anyone looking over his shoulder ended up costing him much more than he had ever imagined. So he got to this point, and yeah, we don't know what's going on in his life. But he's like, "Time for me to leave. Give me my money. Give me what I need to go, and I'm going to go live life the way I want to do it." But by doing that, it cost him much more than he ever thought. I don't know about you, but if we were really honest about ourselves, we'd have to admit that we've left home, too. That we've decided, you know what, for whatever reason, things aren't working, I want to do it my way, and so it's time for me to leave. So we look at this home again, and the father, the home is nice, it doesn't seem like there's bad things going on in the home. We can't pinpoint anything in the story that Jesus shares, but nonetheless, he wants to leave. So in this parable, who is the father? God. In this parable, the father represents God. God is the father, and the son is leaving him in the dust. Now we ask you again, have you ever left home? Have you ever asked your father for your share of the inheritance? have you ever told God, I wish you were dead? Because that's what the younger son did. He decided, it's time for me to leave. But why? Why should we leave home? A couple reasons here that we can only look at. One is that we have this I want it now attitude. I'm tired of waiting. I've been patient long enough. I want it now. We also have the I deserve it. Father, I've been busting my butt for you for all these years, working in the field, doing whatever you said. I deserve it. We also have the, well, I can just do it my way better. Dad, you just don't get it. You just don't. I can do much better on my own. I don't need your help anymore. All right? So let's look at those three things just a little closer here. I want it now. The instant gratification 0 mile fun run. Runners on your mark, get set, go. Now come get your t-shirts. I want it now. We live, especially today, man, and we live in an instant gratification world. How many can pull out their phone from their pocket and download something within seconds and have it, right? Or maybe you want to watch a movie, we can do it right now. Maybe we want to order tickets, we can do it right now and we can get it right now. We live in a world that pushes instant gratification. But you know, that's not how God works. God is saying, I'm working with you, I'm patient. You need to be patient with me. We have a plan together that God is working that in our lives, but we get tired, we get impatient. This isn't working for me. I want it now. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and you had to wait more than like 3 minutes for your food? You know how angry you get? Why don't we have it now, right? Our culture has trained us that things need to happen immediately. God doesn't work that way. God's totally the opposite way. God wants our devotion. God wants our attention. God wants to provide for us as long as we're willing to stay at home and not be so worried about instant gratification. The second thing was that I deserve it. It's called entitlement, right? I have worked for you, Father, for 20 years. I've come in and I've paid my money. I've picked up chairs. I've prayed. I've taught Sunday school. I've led the band. I deserve it now. And you can't take that from me. And God says, no. You have my grace. Grace is something we don't deserve. And that's what I offer you. It's something that you can choose to take or not to take. We're not entitled to anything. You know, when it comes to it, Paul, it talks about being a slave to Christ. When you're a slave to Christ, that means you've given up everything so that Christ can be your master. Entitlement says, hey, I've done the work and I deserve it. And God says, no, that's not how it works. I work by grace. I want to give this because I love you. I want to give this because you don't deserve it, but I love you and I'm going to give it to you. The third one is just saying, I can do better on my own. I don't need God anymore in my life. He causes more problems than I can handle. So I leave home. I get frustrated with God. I get upset with God. So I leave. I'm bitter. I can do it better on my own. I don't need your help anymore, God. That's what we're saying when we leave home. You know what? And that's you see, it says bitterness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. We can't do that. God is with us the whole time. God, you know, it might make no sense to us. And that's the part where we have to be real patient and not get better. It may make absolutely no sense to us. But God has been working in our life the whole time. Just like I mentioned in our books, to write down your prayer request. Write down your prayer request and then write down the answers the next week. What was the answer? How did God help you in that situation? Don't get bitter. Instead, stay by God. Don't think that we can do this all by ourselves. We mentioned before that we have all left home at some time. But what excuse did you use to tell God to drop dead? Right? Because when we ask for that estate, our share of it, We're saying, God, I wish you were dead so that I get my inheritance. But what was that excuse that took you away from God? And even maybe right now, you're away from God. You're not at home. Maybe because you're upset with something that's going on in your life you don't feel is right. Maybe somebody wronged you and you just can't get over it. Maybe things just aren't going as you planned. Right? As you planned. But what excuse was it that you told that God, I don't need you anymore. I want to leave and go do it my way. That's not so much the question as the question is whether or not you'll come back home. We're going to read the rest of the story later, but I'll give you a tip. The father is thrilled to see his son come back home. So what is it that's going to bring you back home? Are you able to get over those hurts? Are you able to forgive? Are you able to trust God to the bottom of your core so that you know that there's nothing at all to worry about, that God has it in control? Because see, home, as we look back at the story, it was great. Home was a safe and wonderful place. The father loved his children. It was the son, the younger son, who went to him and said, I want my share of the estate so I can leave. The father didn't kick him out. It was the son who came to him and said, I need to leave. Wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in the story of the prodigal son, maybe you're home, maybe you're away from home, or even reflecting back on your life of when you did leave home and you told God, forget it, I don't need you. It's time to come home now. It's time to come back. It's time to get back in touch with God. It's time to say, wow, God, I've been pretty rough on you. I'm sorry about that. I haven't been patient. My expectations of what's going on in life are more mine than what your plan is for me. Help me get past that. So the beginning of the story, the beginning of this prodigal son, sets up just the story so that the next several weeks we're going to find out. And I pray and I hope that as we work through this, your own aha moment is going to come from this. Or maybe you're going to look back in life and go, oh, aha, that's what God was up to at that time. Oh, I remember this one time, things just seemed weird, but now, aha, now I get it. Now God has made it clear to me. It's time to come home. Let's have a word of prayer together. Dear Heavenly Father, we screw up a lot. We just want to say we're so sorry about that. And it's not just saying sorry, Lord, but we want to try to do so much better. To not keep making the same mistakes, Lord. But to improve ourselves in life. And to really follow you, to not ask you to drop dead, to give us our share, to be so greedy. Lord, you've given us already so much more that we deserve. That we don't even deserve it. But pour it out on us. Pour out your love. And provide for us. And give us so much. Lord, as we go through life this week, to the different times together with people and friends and family, help us to see your presence so clearly. Give us these aha moments when we come back next week. We're just chattering up the storm. Oh, you won't believe this, that this happened to me. And that you made something appear to me that I've never seen. Lord, open our eyes and our hearts to see those aha moments so that we don't have to struggle anymore. It doesn't matter where we are in life, Lord. That you can be part of that. Help us to not be bitter. Help us to not want to do it on our own. Lord, always help us to draw close to you, strengthen our relationship with you, and to not walk away. Lord Jesus, we pray for this church and for this community and for the work that goes on in your name. Help us to be a force of change. Help us to create aha moments for everyone around us, everyone that we're in touch with. It's in the name of Jesus that we always do pray. Amen. All right, our next act of worship is our offering time, and we just do that. You have a round basket on your table. Make sure you put in your checking card and then your offering as well. When your table is done, if you just bring that